on a Friday. That is right. The weekend is here. Couple more hours and you are free. You are free to enjoy what should be a nice weekend here in the capital city. The Chiefs report date is today. We are going to hear from Mark Donovan. He spoke for a whopping 17 minutes. Did have some interesting things to say. We will get to what he has to say about Chiefs training camp. How do you want to go about that? How can you get tickets? Yes, it is a ticket now. What about the World Cup? That is coming up. Some news on that. What about the Royals and the Chiefs? What are the Chiefs going to be doing? We'll get to that coming up in the bottom of this hour. We got a lot to get to in the 1 o'clock hour as well. We're going to talk all things college football and Big 12 football with our Big 12 insider. He is Paul Myerberg from USA Today. Cannot wait to talk a little football with Paul Myerberg. And Chiefs headline number one as we get down to Chiefs training camp report date is today. So we'll get to that. The Royals lost yesterday. Not a surprise. It's what they do. So,
hey, Jake, remember when you said the Royals were going to win 3 in a row?
I had a vibe. That's why they call it gambling and not call it winning. That's why. That's a bummer. They still stink. In fact, we're probably not going to talk a whole lot about the Royals right now. You ready? Here we go. The Royals are on the road. They take on the Yankees. Therefore, they're probably going to give up like 6 homers a game.
Well, yeah, that's what happens when you play in a baseball field that's basically a glorified Little League park.
And, the Royals don't hit home runs, but the Yankees will. So is it really a problem going to Yankee Stadium? I mean, the Yankees do it. We don't. Royals don't. So it's more so a Royal problem, not a ballpark problem.
No, it's a ballpark problem.
But then why can't the Royals hit them out?
The Royals probably do have higher home run rates when they play in Yankee Stadium like most teams do. It's more beneficial to the Yankees because also they structure their team to play that way.
Yeah, so
also, just
smart.
in general, it is a joke if a ballpark you can hit a ball 315 feet and it's a home run. That is an undeniable fact that's a joke.
Well, then the Royals need to do that.
I would love them to do that. MJ Melendez is the perfect hitter for Yankee Stadium if he's fully right.
Yeah.
He's not, though, so he won't hit anything good in this ballpark. But when going right...
that's more of a Royals issue then.
Yes, that's an MJ Melendez problem specifically.
Yeah, that's why I look at the Yankee Stadium as I really don't care that it is, a bandbox. They hit home runs there. The Royals don't. It's not a stadium problem. It's a Royal problem. And right now the Royals continue to have lots of problems. So this has been a Royals talk, and we're probably done talking about the Royals here on this Friday edition of Mic'd Up. As always, let us know your thoughts. Hit us up on our text line, 785-272-9429. Outside of Topeka, 785-272-9429. So simple, so easy for you to interact with us. You can check us out on our YouTube site. It is so simple. It is so easy. Go to youtube.com. Type in Sports on 580, Sports on 580, and hit the like button, hit the subscribe. You can watch all of the shows right here on YouTube, anywhere that you want. It is so easy to get a hold of us. But we're going to start things off. It is report date. Fulton, I'm going to ask you the question I've asked you every single day. How nervous and how worried are you that Chris Jones does not have a contract extension right now?
Not worried.
On report date.
Not worried.
Not worried?
No.
Are you not worried because then you're thinking, oh, they'll just tag him next year, so he's going to be on the Chiefs team next year?
No, I'm not worried because these are complex situations, and until we get like halfway through training camp, until we either get halfway through training camp or until I hear from either side that there's a problem, I'm not going to get worried.
Mm-hmm.
And because, let's think about this rationally for a minute. Because we know the Chiefs are not going to say a bunch. They're just not. Do we not know every agent in existence, if there's problems in negotiations, makes that stuff public real fast? We know usually pretty quickly when things have broken down. We've heard nothing.
Yeah, it's been very quiet.
So to me, that means I'm not worried. Because if Chris Jones was upset, someone would have said something.
So you think they're close then?
I really do think they are.
Okay.
I think, like, I don't think it's, I want to say this was Matt Verderam when he was speaking with Brendan and Dan on 580 Sports Talk earlier today. I think this truly is a type of deal with certain frameworks and structures where at some point, like, we're hemming and hawing on some things, but this isn't that could come together in like an hour. But both sides just have taken their time. Like, there's so many different things that could be at play here. But because I haven't heard that Chris Jones is disgruntled, that tells me he's not disgruntled, because any agent in the NFL tries to use the media to their side. If the Chiefs were offering Chris Jones a low ball deal, like, something that, and everyone would go, that's not fair, the Katz brothers would immediately start making sure that snuck its way out into the world. They would find somebody they know and go, hey, just let it be known that that's the current offer on the table for Chris, and just see what that looks like. The fact we've heard nothing tells me that everything's fine.
I do think that, and I'm going on past history here. The Chiefs don't do a ton of extensions during camp.
Mm-hmm. That's fair.
And if you look back at what they did with Mahomes, what they did with Jones previous, what they did with Clark, what they've done with Kelsey, and all their, their own individuals, right? It was done before camp. Because once camp starts, it's kind of, this is football.
No, we got work to do.
And it comes to a point, if you're Chris Jones's side of things, where they go this route. Look, it needs to be done sooner than later before camp, because once the season starts, there's probably not going to be an extension going on. That's how the Chiefs kind of operate. So that is why this date has always been an important one. One, we don't know if Chris Jones is going to hold out. We have no clue. That's something to be determined. Some people think this would help the Chiefs in their negotiations. So if he holds out, the problem is that's $50,000 a day. That adds up. But also, he's got to, if he doesn't show up and play this year doesn't count for him.
That's true.
That's part of the new CBA. That's why there's really no holdouts. It's more of hold-ins. And maybe he will show up today. We'll have to wait and see. Andy Reid didn't even know. But most of the time, you get these things done before camp. And Chris Jones might bet on himself. Chris Jones might say, look, I'm going to make $20 million this year, stay healthy, and then I get paid $30 million next year, because that's going to be the franchise tag.
Oh, yeah.
And that's a whole lot of money. So I'm going to get paid, I think it's $19 million this year. I can get paid $30 million next year. That's $59 million I'm going to get paid guaranteed this year, in the next 2 years. So the Chiefs better come to the table with a lot more guaranteed money. I think that's the biggest issue right now, is how much money up front is he going to get? And you're going to hear from Mark Donovan. Mark Donovan mentioned, we've got, great talent, and he rattled off Mahomes and Kelsey and Chris Jones. He mentioned Chris Jones's name today in the press conference. I think the Katz brothers and the Chiefs, I think Chris Jones has the leverage, because I think the Chiefs know that they need Chris Jones. And that's why I think the Katz brothers are holding firm, and Chris Jones is holding firm, saying we want to get this. But I don't normally like Mike Florio from Pro Football Talk.
Same.
I'm not a huge fan, but I do think he brings up a good point. The way that the Chiefs operate is you're going to operate under their terms, or they feel as though they have put together a team that is such a winner that you will take a little bit less so you can win. And the two biggest examples of that are Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelsey. Those are the two main pillars, now along with Chris Jones. Mike Florio puts this out. He says, Mahomes is at $45 million per year. That's $7 million annually behind the top of the market, with Jackson, Hurts, Rodgers ahead of him. Burrow and Herbert are going to leapfrog him as well. Travis Kelce gets roughly half of what the best receivers are paid. Travis Kelce, in all honesty, if you want to talk about the grand scheme of it all,
is the most underpaid player in the NFL.
Is the reason why that tight ends are not getting paid more. Because every single agent and every single team says, are you better than Travis Kelce? And the answer is no. And then they say, well, we're not going to pay you better than Travis Kelce because it's a different position. At the quarterback spot, all these guys can say, hey, I'm not better than Patrick Mahomes, but it's the quarterback. You got to have the quarterback. So if the quarterback says, I want more money, what are you going to do? You're going to end up paying him. Travis Kelce, he could have said, screw this, I want the bag, and gotten over $20 million a year. But what have we heard from Travis Kelce so many times? I want to win. I want to stay here. I want to play with Patrick Mahomes. I've made enough money. I'm good to go. Like, he doesn't want, he's not a Lamar Jackson where he is going to, stick firm. Right now, he's not a Chris Jones. Like, he's, hey, you know what? I'm happy. I'm fine. I'm okay with it. There are probably a lot of tight ends, the George Kittles, the Mark Andrews, the Dallas Goederts of the world, who are probably angry a little bit at Travis Kelce for not getting what they're worth. Because we all agree, Kittles probably is underpaid. Andrews is underpaid because of what they bring to the table. We talked about it right away that you would take who over Travis Kelce? Jefferson, Adams, and then we're talking those two for sure.
Yeah, no, Jefferson, Devontae, yeah, as far as pass catchers go, after those two, I start having serious conversations.
Yeah, exactly. So
which speaks to how good Travis is.
Exactly. And he's getting paid nothing. Absolutely nothing. So what have the Chiefs gotten from their two best guys? Right? They've gotten cheaper because of Mahomes and his willingness to be legacy. Same thing with Travis Kelce. The other aspect of it, Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill said, nope, this is my chance to make the big bucks. I don't give a damn. I ain't taking a pay cut. I want to be the highest paid player. He has said that. And so what did the Chiefs do? They shipped him off. Are you able to do that because you've got Mahomes? Yes. Those are the three precedents that we have. Two of them were willing to take less than market value, and one of them wasn't. The two who took less than market value are still with the Chiefs. The one who didn't is gone. What's Chris Jones going to do? Because the precedent is the Chiefs will keep you if you'll take a little bit less. Chris Jones has never said, I want to be this. Now, we've heard it, right? He's never said it that I want to be the second highest paid non-defense or non-quarterback or non-whatever, right? I don't know if that's truly how he feels or if that's just, contract speak. If he wants $30 million, maybe the Chiefs are like, look, you're not worth $30 million, so we're not going to give it to you. That's what makes this so interesting is that the Chiefs have got very lucky that the two best players at their positions and two of the top 10 best players in the NFL decided to take less than market value. I have no problem if Chris Jones wants $30 million. Go get your money. This is the NFL. And if you think the money you get is your respect and everything, I have no problem with that. It's not the Chiefs' job for you to take less money so they can win. No, the Chiefs, that's Brett Veach's job. Brett Veach, you need to figure that out. So that's the difference to me on what we're going with when it comes to this. Because if you want to be the second highest paid player, that's like what we've all talked about, right? Every defensive tackle got paid. Hargrave and Simmons and Williams, and it's just Donald, those guys, and then Chris Jones is up next. Stands to reason to me, and I've said this so many times, if that's the whole point, meet in the middle and say 28. So who is not meeting in the middle? Is it Chris Jones or is it the Chiefs? We know the Chiefs play hardball.
Mhm.
They did with Tyreek Hill. They're used to having a little bit of
the Chiefs have a line that they don't cross. We have learned that, and that has now become a stone cold fact. The Chiefs have a line with every player, and if you go past that line, they tell you thanks for the memories, we're moving on. That's what they do. Here's what I want to say. First off, I don't give credence to Mike Florio for a lot of things because all he is a mouthpiece for agents and owners. That's all he is. Nothing, because Mike Florio put out that thing of, Christian takes less than he's worth. It's nothing. It's literal nothingness. But here's what I say to this, because I think there's a conversation to be had here. Because we talk a lot about Christians being the second highest paid defensive tackle, and Florida's like, oh, well, what if he wants to push $30 million and blah blah. Yeah. Here's the thing, Jay. Do you know what the highest AAV for any individual defensive player is right now?
No.
Yes, at $31 million.
Yeah.
Do you know what the second highest AAV for any single defensive player is?
It's gotta. It's either going to be a defensive tackle or like Jalen Ramsey.
Incorrect on both those positions. The second highest paid defensive player by average annual value as of this moment in time of 12/22 on July 21st is TJ Watt at $28 million.
So are we thinking that's the number he wants then?
Well, it could be, but my overall point is this. It's not crazy to think Chris, because Florio's idea is oh, well, if he wants to push 30, he could, and there's always a chance. But anyone saying, hey, Chris, take $28 million, if anyone tries to tell you that that's underpaying Chris Jones, I want you to literally smack them across the face. Actually, please don't. Violence is bad, but metaphorically, smack them across the face. Because if, let's say, Chris Jones does a new contract that's $28 million AAV, he becomes not just the second highest paid defensive tackle, he becomes tied for the second highest paid defensive player. All of those edge rushers, TJ Watt, $28 million. Joey Bosa, $27 million. Myles Garrett, $25 million. We are cool with 28. There's reason to believe the Chiefs might be cool with 28. But the reason why 28 to 25 is not a ballpark of, oh, Chris Jones, is he taking less than he's paid because the Chiefs do that? Florio and all the other mouthpieces for the owners are all-ups and agents are still mad that Mahomes took his deal.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I don't believe anything they say, because they're just mad Pat Mahomes took his deal because it's made their lives a little harder. Grow up. I don't care. Here's the world's tiniest violin. But if Chris Jones were to sign a deal for between 25 and 28 million, he would not only be the second highest paid defensive tackle, he would immediately move into the top 4 of highest paid defensive players, period. If the Chiefs are willing to play in the realm of 25 to 28, which we all assume they are, until I hear anything differently, I assume they are.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, we wouldn't even been started on this conversation for the Chiefs in the first place, and they would have moved on. Then there is no Chris Jones being underpaid. Unless you think Chris Jones is undeniably better than TJ Watt, Joey Bosa, and Myles Garrett, which there can be conversation to be had.
Mm-hmm.
I'll hear those. Unless you think he's undeniably better than those 3 dudes, then 25, 28 isn't being underpaid. That's his market value.
So if they don't get a deal done with Chris Jones,
yeah,
do you think then this is a Chris Jones issue?
If Chris Jones wants 30,
I
will say it's a Chris Jones issue. Okay. If it comes out that was the sticking point, it's a Chris Jones issue.
Okay.
If not, it's not a Chris Jones issue.
We will get to Mark Donovan. He had some things to say today. We will get to that plus the Pac-12. Man, George Kilikoff, not good at his job. We'll get to that next. The Pac-12 media days are going on right now. And George Kilikoff, quote, "We are not announcing our media rights deal on purpose today because we want the focus to be on football." He then was asked a follow-up question, does this mean the deal is done? He said, "I wouldn't confirm if the deal was done or not." Let me tell you something here, George. We have a little advice for you. Right now, the number one aspect in all of college athletics is money. It isn't football, okay? It's not football season yet. Have we played it down?
Nope.
No. Have players reported it can't?
No.
What's the future of your football team? It's dependent upon your television contract. The fact that he said we are not announcing our media rights deal on purpose today because we want to focus on football is the dumbest thing ever. Tell me.
It's the biggest lie ever.
Tell me you don't have a TV deal that you like without telling me. That's what's going on right now. And then asked, do you have the deal done? He said, I wouldn't lean into that. That means you don't. That means you don't. You have a TV deal that you don't like. And for the sheer fact that you thought that, oh, yeah, we just won't talk about it because we want the focus to be on football. Ain't nobody care about football in the Pac-12 right now. They want to know what their future's going to be like. The fact that it was at the end of 2022, in February, then in June, and then it's going to be in the end of July or end of June, and then it's going to be beginning, and then it's a week ago. Like, this is just, you want to talk about a disaster on how to operate? That is what George Kilikoff and the Pac-12 is doing. This is ridiculously bad.
It's hilariously bad.
The number one aspect
funny.
in any conference right now is your TV deal.
I just love we could announce it today, but I'm choosing not to. Oh, so that means you do have something done? Well, I wouldn't go that far. Like, dude, your lying skill is terrible.
Hey, by the way, I am going to announce that I am now dating Margot Robbie. And but I'm not going to announce that because I want to focus on her movie Barbie. Okay, yeah, that's what we're gonna go with. Coming up next, we're gonna hear from Mark Donovan. Met with the media today, albeit not very long. He spent about 5 minutes talking about training camp and processes and organization and such, and then about 12 minutes on everything else, and then he was done. That's the difference between the Chiefs and the Royals. The Royals are like, we'll talk about anything and everything a lot, and the Chiefs don't say squat.
Yeah.
They don't say anything.
Yeah.
So here is what Mark Donovan, who spoke to the media today, what he had to say. He covers basically 4 things: training camp, how to go about it. A lot of it's via the app that the Chiefs have. Then they talk about one question about Andy Reid. Then it's about the World Cup. Then it's about the Chiefs and the Royals and where the new stadium are they going to renovate. And then about Germany. That's about it. That's all he talked about. So here's what Mark Donovan had to say.
Well, a couple things you should be aware of and our fans should be aware of. I mentioned how exciting it is to be back here after a Super Bowl win. We've gone to a ticketing system. So to come to camp, you need to go online at chiefs.com/training camp, get the information there and sign up for a ticket. To give you some perspective, we have not had a practice yet open to the public, and we already have 80,000 tickets out for training camp. So make sure you get your tickets. The other thing is parking. Parking is online. Get a parking pass before you get here. It makes everything more efficient and makes the experience better. We have some additions to camp this year. The university has done a great job of upgrading some pieces of the campus. In addition, you'll see out on our practice fields, we have a product that we invested in a couple years ago to upgrade tailgating at Arrowhead. They're called tailgate suites. And we rolled 2 of them up here from the stadium at the back end of the field this year. So you'll see a new product out there. It's a great way to have a VVIP experience at training camp, and we're excited for our fans to see that. All that information is also on our website. And then the final piece I would say, which I say every year, is we have a free app. It's a mobile app. It's also on our website. Please go download that. If you're planning on coming to training camp, it is the best way to be in the know as to everything that's happening that day. We want the experience to be a really good one. With weather in the summer, sometimes things change. If you enable the push notification, you're going to get up to the minute information on how your day may be effective in a good way or a bad way. When we do get storms, obviously we move inside, and unfortunately, it's impossible to take care of the fans inside. So we want you to be aware of everything before you get here. Here's back to my point on having a great fan experience. 5 to 6, maybe 7,000 people is about the max you can put in here to have a good experience based on the way we're set up now. So we'll cap every day. We have a number of days that are sold out. Our season ticket member days are sold out already. As you know well, we're pretty focused on data. There's also a no-show rate every single day, so we factor that into how many tickets are out there. But this will probably be the highest attended camp in our history.
markets are hand here with Andy, and I just wonder if you might be able to get your arms around how to describe what he's done in this time and how we expect such a change.
Yeah, I'd go back to the interview process in Philadelphia. He's done what we expected him to do and more. He's a process-oriented, proven winner. And he brought process, he brought stability, he brought experience, and he clearly brought results. So it's been, I say this all the time, it's a really, really special time to be part of the Chiefs organization. It's a really, really special time to be part of our fan base. And internally, like, we appreciate it too. We don't take it for granted. And Andy's a big, big part of that.
And just a quick follow-up, I mean, not to chase anybody before, but I mean, the contrast in what this means, I mean, to be at this time in the Chiefs' history, marketing-wise, strategy-wise, I mean, what does that enable you to do, also with Patrick, obviously?
Yeah, I think you look at the talent on our team, you look at the success we've had on the field. That's the unprecedented part, right? We've never, when you really look back at the history of this franchise, you've never had this success. We've had superstars, clearly, but as the world has changed and as it's gotten smaller and smaller, our superstars are now worldwide superstars. One of the reasons we're being so aggressive with Germany and Mexico to grow even more. We haven't, I always cite Lamar. You know, one thing you learn when you come into this organization is the humility of Lamar Hunt. And trying to figure out a way to be humble, but also be proud of the success on the business side is unprecedented. And we're in places we've never been. We've seen results we've never had. And that's all great. The focus is still the same. How do we deliver the absolute best fan experience every single time? And it's all related, right? Having Patrick and Kelsey and Chris and having that team, having a Hall of Fame coach, having the experience at GHA Field. I mean, there's nothing like it, but it's our job to make sure that's that every single time.
Yeah, the Royals ownership is set and it talks to you guys, I think, here for the next 3 to 5 years. What are those conversations been like? And have you guys done some work on a plan for when the Royals leave, whenever that may be?
Yeah, so I'll try to cover a lot there because I know it's an important subject. To answer your question, the partnership with the Royals has been great. And it's really, really critical to both of us that we have a good partnership as we go through the decision-making process. We've been consistent in every time we've spoken that it is a process and it's a really important process, and we're still in the process, but we're making progress. I want to be consistent and reiterate something that Clark said last time he spoke on this. You know, if everything plays out the way we think it's going to play out, our preference for us is to upgrade and renovate the stadium at Arrowhead and make GHA Field even better. We've gone through the progress and made some progress there. There are still 3 viable options on the table, and we've got to do the due diligence on renovate, upgrade, build new on site, or build new somewhere else. So all 3 of those options are still part of our dialogue. We've learned a lot in this process. The good news is we think the building itself is actually structurally pretty sound, which gives us the opportunity. Having said that, we've learned that it's going to take a significant annual investment to keep that building structurally sound. And the other thing we've learned on the good and the bad is just like any project, right? There are certain days when you get that phone call, it's like, hey, we just found this. Might be an issue, right? And when you're talking about a core sample of cement that was poured in 1970, those issues they could be significant and they could factor into the decision. So headed towards doing what we want to do, making good progress towards that. Still a lot of work to do and still a lot of due diligence to do. As it relates to the Royals and their decision, obviously that factors in as well, right? So if and when they go, then that creates opportunity for us. Well, what does that mean, right? And it gets really complicated. You got a sports complex now that has one tenant. How do you deal with that? You got a sports authority. I will say this, in addition to our communication with the Royals, which is pretty consistent, we're obviously talking to the mayor, to the governor, to the county, to the sports authority, and they're all in the loop on what we're doing and how we're doing it, and very supportive.
The Royals did move to Clay County. How does that change things for you guys? Did it be on your own to extend the tax? Thought about that part?
Yeah, I mean, we've thought about all of it. So I say that jokingly, but the reality is you got to be prepared to be flexible and be able to pivot. And that's a big one, right? Because all of a sudden that brings in, as you brought up, what happens to extending the tax? Because now it's 2 different counties, and what happens to the sports complex? So all those things play into it, and then the timing plays into it as well. But we still are on plan to be ready for an April vote, if that makes sense for us. If the Royals decide to stay in Jackson County, then we've had discussions about how we do that together. And if they go, then that is a variable. We got to be ready to either continue on that path or pivot. Our team has done a really good job at just being ready. And I feel like we're pretty well prepared for whatever happens.
Could there be a relationship between whatever the Chiefs end up doing and what you have to do for the World Cup?
Yeah. So it's yes, but the timing is very interesting, right? 31 is the end of the lease. All the work on the World Cup has to be done 24, 25, 26. Then you got 27, 28, 29, 30. So it's a little bit of like, that would be really fast forwarding everything to try to tie it all together. The question then becomes, what are we going to do for the World Cup to be compliant to host that amazing event that potentially we could keep or benefit from or not have to redo? Versus we've got to make the building requirement proof for World Cup, and we got to do that absolutely perfect. We also have to play a football season pretty quickly after that. And we want our fans to have the best possible experience. So we can't really sacrifice the football experience because we did some things for World Cup. So it's a huge puzzle piece for our operations team. Again, we have a really talented team around us, and they are really well prepared for it. It's going to be a challenge, and it's going to be a 3 or 4 year challenge as we roll this out. But we've got a good plan, and we've got good options. We got some areas we can pivot. We're working with FIFA very closely, and obviously a great local organizing committee, and they're well aware of the challenges that come with that. But I think the more we've looked at it, the less I think there's ways to really take too much advantage of it because of the timing.
You're still planning on having the same number of seats in the lower bowl during all those football seasons, correct? You're going to come back for preparation for the World Cup. That's not changed.
Yeah, you guys should hear this. This is one of the first things that Clark said to us. We need to host the World Cup because of what it is and what it can do for this region. And we need to make sure that every single Chiefs fan has the exact same experience in 24, 25, 26, and 27. So figure it out. Well, that's a talented team we have around us. We feel like we actually do. It's going to be a challenge to get there, but that's how we're approaching it.
It's safe to say there'll be more of an effect on your kids, like summer events. Is that where you're going to probably?
Yeah, you think about this summer, right? Think about this year. We go from unprecedented number of AFC Championship games in a row to Super Bowl, to Super Bowl parade, to NFL draft, which, from a pride standpoint, both sides. Yeah, I was just so proud that we showed the NFL how special Kansas City is and how special our fans are. But I was also, proud of the NFL for bringing it to Kansas City and what it did for the league. It's raised the bar. You go from that to World Cup is in the middle of all that, right? Then you put Luke Combs on the stage. You put Taylor Swift on the stage twice. You got Billy Joel coming up. You got Beyonce coming up. I'm forgetting one. But think about a summer when you don't have that because you're in the middle of construction for World Cup. So we got to factor that into it as well. I mention all that because I think it reiterates the commitment that the Hunt family has made to this region. Right? When you look at the opportunity to host the World Cup, it will be an economic driver that we have never seen as a region, ever. It'll have long-lasting international benefit for us as a city and as a region. You know, when I look at the business evaluation, should we host a World Cup or should we keep doing what we're doing? When Clark evaluates my job, I sort of joked with him when we looked at him, like, okay, we can do this and we should do this. But this is what you judge me on. I can't be held to the same standard. We won't have a whole summer or two of events. So it's a bit of a balance, right? But at the end of the day, I know we've said this about parades and we said this about the draft, right? Biggest event Kansas City's ever seen, and we hit it out of the ballpark. World Cup is unprecedented when it comes to that. It's going to be the biggest thing this whole region's ever seen by a lot.
Matt, Mark, speaking of the World Cup and all the events listed off that have taken place in the last year, that successful stretches back into 2019 when the parade took place. So just speak to the moment Kansas City really had as opposed to more quiet events in the last 5 years.
Yeah, I related to it's a special time to be part of the Chiefs organization, right? Special time to be a Chiefs fan. It's also a really special time to be part of this community. We're proud of being a part of the community and being a contributor to the community. But Kansas City's on a really, really good trend when you look at what we're doing. And you think about World Cup and what it'll do for sporting, what it'll do for their facility. Talking to Dr. Kennedy, think about, all the additional benefits of a World Cup. This campus is potentially a training site for another team. And again, I would relate to you that when we get to the World Cup, potentially multiple countries will be basing their teams in Kansas City, and the impact of those fans. These people come for a month and post up, and they travel from that city to the various matches. So it's a great opportunity, and it's a great time to be part of Kansas City.
Last one here. What kind of work and preparation has to be done to be ready for the Germany game? And then what kind of opportunity does that present you all?
Yeah, it's a huge opportunity. I'll start there. It's a huge opportunity for us. It fits perfectly into our strategy. We've been committed to growing the brand internationally for a number of years now, and we targeted Germany early on. We were pretty disappointed last year that we weren't the first team to play over there. But when you look at it strategically, and our marketing folks have schooled me on this, it actually plays out better to be the second. Everyone saw just how big it was last year. We've been in Germany for 3 years now, 2.5 years now. We went from being just another brand to being the number one team in Germany on Instagram in the NFL, which is a significant point. We have had multiple trips over there, both activating marketing. So we did, to give you some perspective on how big we are in Germany now, we did a schedule release party in Germany 2 weeks after the schedule was out. And it was completely sold out. We had 150 people at this bar and they were excited to be there. So it just gives you some perspective how excited they are. And then to have a game there. To answer your second question, or second part of that question, from a travel perspective, we've got pretty good experience. Obviously, London, I think in 2014. And we'll go a day early. We won't go a full week early. So we've got a good plan in place. We actually have people in Germany today, the last few days, doing some finals, our second trip as a prep trip to see how we're getting from hotel to field and practice and stadium and everything else. So the league does a really good job on that in giving us the resources, but then it's up to us to execute.
That is President Mark Donovan of the Kansas City Chiefs. There's a lot to get to there. It's like when you come back from a 7-day vacation and you got to unpack. There's a lot to unpack from a 7-day vacation. A lot to unpack there.
Sure.
Do you disagree?
Not with there's a lot to take away from what Mark Donovan had to say, but the comparison to the 7-day vacation unpacking was just funny.
A lot to unpack.
It was very funny to me.
To me, everything else is fluff. There's meat and potatoes, and then there's fluff. It's where the stadium is going to be, what they're going to do with the stadium, right? Germany, fluff, to be honest with you. That doesn't impact a whole lot of people. We will break it down in more detail to start the 1 o'clock hour, obviously, but that's kind of fluff. The World Cup, really only affects very few people when it comes to the Chiefs, to be honest with you. Yeah. But those people are important people. Mm-hmm. We'll explain that as well. And then the St. Joe aspect of it, they're going to be there for this year and next year. I'm still bummed that Topeka wasn't able to bring him here. I still hope that's something in the future for this city, that maybe Washburn could host the Chiefs because they've got the infrastructure to do so. It's just, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And in this situation for 2 weeks, that's the bigger thing. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's why I think that St. Joe's got a leg up. We got a lot to get to. We're going to talk about the stadium situation, a little bit of World Cup, all of that coming up in the 1 o'clock hour here on Mic'd Up. mic'd up on a Friday. That is right. Doesn't feel like a Friday. Does not.
Not to you, maybe.
Does it feel like a Friday to you?
The fact that I'm ready for this week to be over and just not do anything for a couple days, yeah.
Wasn't that like every day?
I mean, fair.
So that's why. Maybe,
Fair point. I want this week to be over, not to do anything for the rest of the week, most days.
maybe it's because we had a shortened show yesterday.
Yeah.
And I was gone yesterday. Well, for that 20-minute portion.
Yeah.
Of it. So
Jake
that's
did
why.
unsurprisingly show up after the work had been done for the day.
Well, I was here till like 5:00 yesterday. I just missed the 20 minutes that we had a show.
Jake, did you engage in a husband meal yesterday? Now that you got the house to yourself for a little bit?
Yes, I did. Did.
What was yesterday's husband meal? I don't care. I'm just now curious now. It's in my head.
So I am solo right now at the house.
And to add some context to this, Brendan, Dan, and I pre-show yesterday found a GQ article about husband meals, aka the meals dudes eat when their significant others are away because they just revert to like bachelor gremlins. That's the context of this question. Jake, continue.
Well, see, we mix up the cooking at our house.
Yeah.
Because I grill a lot.
Yeah.
And then kids' food, my food, like me and my wife kind of are 50-50 when it comes to who makes the food. It's just kind of what's easiest and busiest and days and everything.
Fair
like
enough.
That. I don't do most of the cooking. She doesn't do it. We mix and match pretty good. We ham and egg it. And so I can tell you this now. I just eat. I'm just cooking for myself. So I can be so simple. Yesterday I had probably the biggest bowl of cereal last night for dinner that I've ever had.
Heck yes.
I've ever
Love
had.
it.
Ever had. I probably used.
Was it Cinnamon Toast Crunch?
No, it was not. Because my son likes it and he eats it, so I didn't have any of that. No, it was Frosted Mini Wheats.
Okay.
My wife calls me a 70-year-old for eating that.
I mean, a little bit.
That's okay. I like them. And but man, it's like awkwardly, creepily quiet.
Yeah, I can't imagine how quiet
Right
your
now.
house is right now.
Like to
with
the
just
point
you.
where something's going on. Like, is there something happening that I don't know about?
Got a ghost in there.
That's how quiet it is. No, well, there might be now, but then when my kids are back, the ghost is gonna be gone because they're like, I ain't dealing with that.
Fair enough.
Yeah, but you can get so much done.
Yeah.
I got everything I needed to get done. My wife gave me a to-do list.
Yeah.
I got it all done yesterday. I literally got it all done yesterday.
Kind of easy to be productive when it's only you around.
Oh my god! And you're gonna get a good night's sleep.
Yeah.
I went to bed at 11:30 last night, knowing that I'm gonna sleep until 8 o'clock, and then I get out of bed at 8, shower, get everything ready, and then leave by 8:10. Like, I got such a good night's sleep last night. So like, I got so much stuff done. But yeah, I don't.
Bowl of cereal.
I don't like it's been nice to have the quietness, but also not nice because you miss your kids.
Yeah,
it's a lot of fun.
Fair enough.
And so the good news is grandparents are, spoiling them rotten right now, and my wife is on a bachelorette trip, so she's having a good time.
She's probably having a great time.
And now I am here working. So there we go. That's what we got.
You're having a great time hanging out with us.
I am.
Thank you for lying.
And then I'm going to go home and I'm going to try to do things that I didn't think I'd even have a chance to do because I didn't think I'd get it done. And then I got all day. This is the true test of I always say boring people are bored, right? When someone says I'm bored.
Yeah, it's just because you're being boring. You can always find something to do.
You're boring. You're just a boring person if you're bored.
This will test that because you're going to have a lot of chance to just do whatever you want to do.
I know. And I can tell you this right now. I ain't going to be bored. I'm like, I can do this. I can do that.
Go see Oppenheimer this weekend.
I'm not interested in either of these movies.
Oh, you don't want to go see Barbie or Oppenheimer?
No.
Wow.
No.
Jake, not a certified Barbenheimer guy. I think that's the term they created.
Yeah, the whole Barbie thing. No, not me. Do I really need to care about how the bomb was created? Like, No, I'm good. I don't know. Are you?
I might see Oppenheimer this weekend.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm a history guy.
No,
This
no.
movie's right up my alley.
That's fine. I just like. Oh,
Yeah,
it's
for me, no, Oppenheimer's right up my. It's both Cillian Murphy and it's history. It's right up my alley.
Well, what's right up my alley is Mark Donovan
There you go.
getting a little bit of details about things. First, let's go through them. 80,000 tickets have already been sold. Not sold, have been accounted for by the Chiefs. And there hasn't even been a day yet for fall camp for the public. That's incredible. That's another reason why I think they don't want to do it at their facilities, because they don't want to bring people into their facility. You know, do they go away for training camp? Do they not? 80,000. It can hold 7,000 per day and still be efficient. They got the tailgate suites now. It's kind of cool. Me personally, if you can't have fun with just your random Joe tailgate, then tailgating's not for you. The parking pass, you got to get online. It's all through the app. The app's huge because it'll tell you whether or not they're going to practice outside, inside, that type of thing. So that's a lot of people, though, already. 80K. And this is a longer camp than most. So
Yeah.
They're going to generate a lot of people. Let's go with what he had to say about the Royals and their situation. First and foremost is that he said that the goal or the hope or the first plan is to upkeep Arrowhead. And I think this is Clark Hunt trying to keep his dad's legacy and what his dad would want, the man who founded the Chiefs, happy. And what, you know, WWLD, what would Lamar do?
Mm-hmm.
And that's keep Arrowhead going. That's what we know. That's the option number one, and that's the one they want to do. Good news is it's structurally sound right now. I saw people on like the Chiefs chat, you know, that are like the Arrowhead is fine. Why would you think about moving? Yes, Arrowhead is fine, but the sheer fact that this is an older building and it's gonna take money for upkeep, and that's what he also said. He goes, it is going to cost a lot of money to make sure that it is structurally sound, that it is good to go, that we keep up with the Joneses, because the number one aspect for the Chiefs is to make money. All right, that's the number one aspect. Structurally sound is great. How much is it to keep it structurally upright? And then he said, you know, every now and then you get the unknown variable where it says, hey, this is occurring, and then you got to deal with that. A new stadium, you don't have to worry about that. You don't have to put money, as much money, in the upkeep of the stadium. That is what John Sherman has said about the K. It costs a lot of money to keep it upright. You, the fan, don't know that, because you, the fan, just see the game day the game day aspect, the game day situation, which means that the Chiefs and the Royals are doing a hell of a job when you say the words, there's nothing wrong with the K, there's nothing wrong with Arrowhead. That means the Chiefs are doing their job. Everything is going well. So there is something to be said there. Business-wise, nostalgia-wise. Does the amount of money it takes every year to pour into Arrowhead equate or is less than the Arrowhead mystique, the Arrowhead vibe? Okay. That's the aspect of it. The unknown might be the biggest thing. And they got some time right now. And the reason why they got some time is nothing is going to happen right now, at least, until the Royals situation is finished. The Arrowhead Stadium is not going to have anything really to do or done with until the 2027 season is concluded.
Yeah.
Okay. But we know this, that the Chiefs, If the whole process is to stay there at the Truman Sports Complex, they have to wait until the Royals do something. Now, they said the Royals are great partners. There's still a vote that is in April. Mark Donovan brought up an interesting point. He said, with the vote in April, we're tied to it, getting some money from the county. But if it's from a different county, how does that work? Say the Royals go up to Clay County, not Jackson County. A little bit different. That's why I still think Jackson County is the number one aspect.
Yeah.
East Village for the Royals. 3 options, according to Mark Donovan. 1, upkeep and keep Arrowhead. That's number 1. Number 2, build new there at the area, which would mean when the Royals move downtown, because we know that, demolish the K, build there around the K. You got plenty of space to build there. Or number 3, build a new stadium at a new site. He said all are viable options. Okay. And this is where the Chiefs are going to get a free stadium. Because Missouri ain't going to let another NFL team leave the state. They let the Rams leave St. Louis.
Yeah.
The state of Missouri, and I'm not talking, county. They're going to get the county money from Jackson County. That's what's going to happen. They're going to get that. They're going to get that, $500 million. But then the state of Missouri is going to shell out money. We're talking the state. Kansas is going to put a charge into getting the Chiefs. They will.
They're going to attempt to put up a fight.
And we know this because some of the money that is made by the state via gambling goes into a fund that is trying to lure the Chiefs to Kansas. Therefore, they're going to get damn near a free stadium. And if they're going to get it, they're going to get at least $1 billion from Kansas or Missouri.
More than likely.
They're going to get $500 million from the county. That's $1.5 billion. All right. If you look at the stadium in which that they would build, it's probably going to be about a $3 billion stadium.
Yeah.
SoFi Stadium cost $5 billion. And that is like
mega fancy.
Yes. I don't think it'll be like that.
No.
Because one, there's not two entities that play there.
Yeah.
I think you're looking at probably like a $4 billion stadium, $3 billion stadium. What's the cost of the Bills stadium?
I thought it was 2. So I thought the Bills' new thing was going to be 2 bill.
1.5 billion.
1.5. Okay, I was off by half.
So I'm going to go ahead and say it because they didn't dome it, and I don't know what the Chiefs are going to do.
They'll probably dome it.
Are they going to dome it, or are they going to do retractable it?
They might retro roof it. I feel like the Chiefs, because Kansas City's been making this push as an area to try and host more things.
Yeah.
I think if the Chiefs were like, hey, we're going to build something new, I think Kansas City would make a push to at least retro roof it, because they know if you put a roof if you have an ability to have a roof on a stadium in Kansas City for the Chiefs, you become a potential host site for the Super Bowl.
If you roof it, it's basically an extra $1 billion right now.
Yeah, give or take.
So we're looking at it'll probably cost $3 billion. Okay, they're going to get half of it paid for, if not even more. So that's where the new stadium. They're keeping all their options open. Renovate the stadium, keep it up, but I don't think they have to determine that just at this point in time, because they'll make their decision when the K is destroyed, which will be probably in 26 or 27 would be my guess. Because you can't, maybe even probably 28, because maybe even later, because it's going to take 3 years to build the stadium, or 2 years to build the stadium.
Yeah.
And we're at 23, and the vote goes in 24, and we're looking at 3 years, 27. Yeah, the earliest they're moving into their new stadium's 28 when it's downtown. So the Chiefs got some time. They really do. World Cup wise, that's the interesting thing. You heard Mark Donovan talk about, well, we had Taylor Swift, and then we're having Billy Joel, and we're having Ed Sheeran, and we're doing all these things, and Luke Combs. They're doing a lot more stuff to try to generate more money, right? Well, then you got the World Cup. And I think Mark Donovan, when you saw Mark Donovan's nonverbal cues, his body language, when he talked about the World Cup, he gets it. The generic person right now does not get what's going to happen in 2026. I am telling you,
it's going to be wild.
It's 6 Super Bowls that are going to be coming to Kansas City. Not one, but depending upon the amount of teams, because every single game, if it's new countries, it's a Super Bowl for them. Okay. If it, and you're going to get minimum probably of 4 games, maybe 5. You're looking at maybe, and we don't know how it's going to be structured, but this is going to be mega. Like this would be like, people on steroids on top of steroids. Like I cannot explain to you how massive this is.
Truly, it's to understand. Arrowhead will be filled to capacity every game, no matter what countries are playing, because it means so much to all of these people.
Yeah, and it's not even, it's going to be filled. Oh, well, only 60,000 people. No. There's 1 million people are going to show up for every single game. They just want to be in the atmosphere. And it's easy to get to the United States. That's another aspect. It's kind of hard to get to Qatar, okay?
Relatively simple to the United States.
So it's big. And I think the reason they went full bore is Clark Hunt wanted this. Clark Hunt wanted Arrowhead to host the World Cup because his dad was such a big soccer guy. I mean, he helped found the MLS. So that is such a big deal. They're not going to be able to do as much money because the previous years. Now, I mentioned this. They need to take out seats because you have to fit FIFA specs. The Arrowhead's built for football, not for soccer. It's not like AT&T Stadium or SoFi Stadium or Mercedes-Benz Stadium where they built it to have soccer.
Yeah, they built it to also host their MLS club.
Yes.
Arrowhead wasn't.
Yes.
There's a reason Sporting plays somewhere else, among other reasons.
So they're going to have to take out some seats and all that kind of stuff. Here's the real crux of it. The only people who really get affected by this are the people whose seats are going to have to be removed because of the World Cup. And then how do you put those seats back for the upcoming season? Okay, the World Cup is in July, all right? They probably will start doing a little bit of it before the 26 season or the 25 season. But you could probably work some of that up between, February, March, April, May, June. That's 5 months. But maybe they'll do it a little bit before that. We'll have to wait and see. But really, they're only affecting those people.
Pretty much.
That's it. But those seats are kind of expensive.
Yeah.
And you don't want to anger those people.
No, that's true.
And then Germany, they're pumped for Germany.
Oh, yeah.
That's
going to be a fun game.
Big time there. Coming up next, our list, our favorite alien movies. This will be interesting. Coming up next. Everyone loves the list. Today, our topic, favorite alien movies. What do you got, Fulton?
Number 4 for me, Signs. Signs is a good film. Fun film, little horror-esque. Aliens are cool, very nifty way of portraying them. It's fun.
Swing.
Well, not fun, but interesting.
Swing away.
Yeah. Signs is a good movie.
Joaquin Phoenix.
I enjoy Signs.
Number 4 for me. Fantastic movie. Monsters versus Aliens.
Oh, yeah. Great poll. I love that the two options here are either really gritty, horror-y type movie or the stupidest movie in the world.
Monsters versus Aliens.
Fun movie.
Hail Galaxar.
Very fun movie.
Hail Galaxar.
Number 3 for me, District 9. That's a good film. That is a film I don't think enough people remember. It's a good movie.
I don't even know what that is.
I recommend watching it. Very fun.
Yeah.
Aliens in South Africa.
Number 3, maybe it's one of the most quotable movies I think of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Get to the chopper. If it bleeds, we can kill it. I ain't got time to die.
Fair enough.
Predator.
Predator's a good movie.
Predator.
Predator's a good call.
What a fantastic movie. I see you.
Number 2 for me, the stupidest film I have on this list, but it's stupidly beautiful. Mars Attacks. That movie is fantastic. It's the dumbest thing ever,
Yeah, that movie
but
sucked.
God, it's fantastic.
We differ on that one.
Love Mars Attacks.
Number 2, Avatar. I loved Avatar.
Okay. Yeah.
Those are aliens.
No, they are. No, they are. I just didn't think about it. It literally never crossed my mind. Avatar was fine when I watched it. It was fine.
I like that Avatar a lot. I haven't watched the new one. I need to. I heard it's good. It's 3.5 hours.
Probably.
I got time this weekend.
Yeah, you honestly, you do. Number 1 for me is very easy. If you're talking about alien movies, there's only one alien movie I think that should be near the top or at the top of everyone's list, and it's Alien. Alien is a fantastic film.
Sigourney Weaver was awesome in
Yes.
this movie.
Yes.
My number one,
Xenomorphs are cool.
my number 1 because it was fantastic. It was marketed great. It's just it was a good movie. Independence Day.
Okay, good call.
Love
That's a good one. That's good.
Terrific.
Good pick.
From how it came about to them on the ground and how they beat them. Independence Day. Great movie. Let us know your favorite alien movie. I should have put Monsters versus Aliens number 1. What a great movie. Is now Code Brown. That's what I did in my pants. Fantastic movie. Coming up next, we talk all things football with Paul Myerberg. Wine and Spirits phone line to talk with one of my favorite guests of the year. The college football season is approaching, so we bring on the man who knows college football better than anybody I know. He is Paul Myerberg from USA Today. Paul, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good. Like, I see this light at the end of the tunnel, like a month and 10 days away. Like, that is so doable for me. We've been through like 140 days already. I can definitely do another 50. So I'm feeling great. I'm really excited because this is going to be the greatest season of college football ever until next season. Every year just keeps getting better.
Yes, it does. All right. Big 12 football media days. Brett Yormark spoke. Did he say anything that truly piqued your mind, whether or not, they've got a plan for conference expansion? They're not going to tell us. They hope to execute it. He's real big into promotion, doing a lot of different things. What was your big takeaway from what Brett Yormark said?
Yeah, I mean, he won't talk about expansion unless it's like on the phone and it can be like on background. That's Brett Yormark's style. But he won't talk about expansion in person. Of course, you just need to read us, CBS, ESPN, and elsewhere to see what the Big 12's actual plans probably are, which are to expand. And I think it's silly and unrealistic to say that, hey, we're going to lose OU and Texas, but we're good. So am I surprised that there's nothing concrete? No, I'm definitely not, because even if there was, that's not the venue to bring it up or to mention it. But it's very clear to me, based off if you read between lines of his public comments and certainly his private comments, that the Big 12 is in the business of expansion. So we will see. Like, I hate to put a timeline on it because it'll be wrong, but very, very, very clearly, as we head into 2024-25, this is a league looking to add 2 more members or potentially more. So they are potentially also the tipping point for further expansion. So Big 12 is on the map, not just for football, but for the role that they're going to play very likely in the next round of expansion in the next 36, maybe 48 months.
Well, the expansion part of it got a little bit more interesting today because George Kilikoff, the Pac-12 has just butchered this entire thing. Like, it's almost comically how bad they're doing it. He announced today that, hey, we're not going to talk about the media deal because this needs to be about football. Does George Kilikoff know anything about what's going on? Because it is all about the TV deal, because that's what's going to determine whether or not you got people staying or going. What advice would you give George Kilikoff when it comes to his future press briefings?
Yeah, it's funny when he's like, "We're not here to talk about media deals." That's like you or me being like, I'm not here to talk about my date with Margot Robbie. Like, I'm not here to talk about that because it doesn't exist. There is no media deal, so of course he can't talk about a media deal. And I think that idea that he's like, well, everything's fine, everything's dandy, is either his only way of survival in terms of being a leader of this conference, or B, it's ignorant, and I think they might be off the rails a bit in terms of how they perceive themselves and their future. It's very telling to me, and I don't have the direct quote, and I apologize, but he had a comment already today along the lines of not being wary of potentially losing teams to the Big 12. And I wish I had the quote in front of me again, sorry. But he mentioned something along those lines, and to me, that says it all. I mean, if you're the commissioner of the Pac-12 and you're making comments along those lines, or you're representing the league and making comments along those lines, I mean, that tells you that this is a real possibility and a real fear for the conference. So my advice for him, next time he gets on top of stage, don't read from a teleprompter, don't talk about expansion, and don't talk about things that you don't have on your table. And media rights right now for the Pac-12 is such an overarching issue. I understand the question, but don't say that you can't talk about it because you're talking about football. The truth is that they have nothing to talk about, at least right now. And we'll see in the coming weeks where that ends up. But I don't envy him except for the paycheck. I think the job that he has right now is really stinks. It's one of the worst jobs in college athletics to be the commissioner of the Pac-12.
When do they need to have a deal done by? Like, when is that date? Because their deal runs out after this year. I mean, you got to have something here coming up pretty quickly.
Yeah, the time to do it was yesterday, or last month, or 3 months ago, or honestly, a year ago. It's asinine to think that, we can, we'll just announce this in the coming weeks and months and it will all be fine. Meanwhile, I mean, you've got members of your league, not just the ones who are already off the Big Ten, but other members of your league who are sitting here thinking, we got to do what's right for us. Like, we got to do what's right for us. Like, if I'm Colorado, what's right for me might be, I need to swallow my pride and say, Big 12, will you please have me back? Or if I'm Utah, I need to say, we've had great success in this league. We identify with this league, but what's right for me is to be in the Big 12. So these are troubling times for the Pac-12, and I hate to put it all on the media deal, but I think it is an epitome of what the bigger, broader issue is. That the Pac-12 has not settled like the very basic things that can secure your future. And nowadays, what secures your future is going to a room of presidents and chancellors and saying, here's how much you're going to make this year, next year, and the year after that. And they can't do that right now. And that's what's contributing to this unease and uncertainty regarding the league's future, and also why it is that the Big 12 could potentially add those two teams to get back to 14.
We're talking with Paul Myerberg from USA Today. You can follow him on Twitter at Paul Myerberg. All right, Big 12 football media days. There were some things that Sark said, that Venables had to say. Of course, Kleiman, the rest of the coaches. Was there something that really drew something to you that a coach said or a player? How would you kind of take the top 3 or 4 takeaways from the Big 12 Media Day?
Yeah, honestly, my biggest takeaway from following the Big 12 Media Days is about Texas. I think, and maybe we all agree when we spoke last, that Texas fairly could be picked as the number 1 team in this league right now. I was a little bit surprised it was by this much of a gap. I was a little bit surprised that Kansas State wasn't closer. I also was a little bit surprised that there wasn't a third team in there that got upwards into the K-State range. Seems to me like the Big 12 media at least has decided that Texas and the Wildcats are the teams to beat. I don't argue against that. But focusing on Texas, for my future. Not just about cutting the hair. It's very obvious that he's dedicated himself to remaking his body. Because clearly, he was not out of shape. He was in better shape than any of us last season, but he's a little bit heavy. But he looks good. He sounds good, and he obviously has the confidence of his coach, who gave him the job back in April. So those are my takeaways from this. And I hate to focus on Texas, but it would be an enormous story, guys. Not just for the Big 12, but certainly nationally. If Texas does meet expectations, they win this conference and then skedaddle, that's a big time story. So I don't want to not talk about the Wildcats or about KU, but clearly to me, Texas on a national scale was the story coming out of the league.
If they don't win it, how worrisome is that for Texas people and Texas fans going then to the big go to the SEC?
Well, let's put it into tiers, right? They go 10-2 in the regular season, and then lose in the Big 12 championship game to Wildcats, to OU, Texas Tech, ECU. I think you leave this season and you depart for the SEC, and you think, okay, we have at least turned a corner, and we're in a good direction. Doesn't mean that you're going to think that you can step right into the SEC and dominate, but it does give the idea that we can take this next step, match a 9 or 10 win finish, because we're going to get better as the competition gets better. Having said that, as amazing as it would be as a story if they went 11-2 or competed for the playoffs, imagine if they go 7-5. I mean, if they go 7-5, they're changing coaches, they're losing players, they might lose their quarterback, and then they're going to the SEC, and they might be picked 12th in the preseason rankings or 11th. That's a totally different world for Texas. You can say the same for OU, but I think OU is at a little bit of a different stage in terms of their evolution under Venables. I think most people are looking at them as an 8 or 9 win team, not as a team who can win this conference or compete for a playoff. So it's a huge year for Texas, and lesser degree OU for a huge amount of reasons. But the focus, like you said, the spotlight is on UT to deliver. We've been down this road before, and they haven't. So they've got one more shot at this before things get really, really, really difficult and probably a little bit nasty in 2024 when they take on the SEC.
Well, one thing about Oklahoma, do you think Venables can be the guy that brings them back, into the Lincoln Riley era where you can go to the playoff, you're winning the Big 12, competing in the SEC, or are we looking at he's not the guy?
I still think he's the guy. I really do. And look, if it was like 2015 right now and they had another 8 or 9 seasons in the Big 12, I would be very confident that he would win multiple Big 12 championships. I mean, the pieces are there, the infrastructure, he's got his coaching ability, they have good players, they've got good coaches. When it comes to the SEC, I do think that he is, in a way, more uniquely prepared for the SEC than Sarkisian, even though Sark has actually worked in the SEC and Venables has not. And that's because when Venables was learning his trade at a high level under Dabo, they just basically mirrored what SEC teams were doing in their own style, in their own way. He's very familiar with that model and that method for how to build a program. So actually, I like Venables a lot in the SEC. But look, you've got to be given time to put this through. And the question that becomes, like with Sark, is if they go 7-5, 8-5 this season, what's his security look like? What's his leash look like? I mean, Joe Castiglione is going to give him the opportunity to have or not have success. But we know in this world that we live in, if you're 6-7, 7-6 in your first 2 years at OU, I mean, the odds of it working out are pretty slim. You're probably not going to get the time. Things will go sour. So this is a big make or break year for Venables. I would be on board with him as the guy going forward. But you do want to see a bounce back. I think they're capable of doing that, but a whole lot depends on replacing players on defense and getting more consistently, at least in the running game, better play in the backfield.
All righty, KU and K-State, the two state schools. K-State picked the highest in their preseason poll since the Big 12 went to the round-robin format, or not round-robin, that's basketball, play everybody format. This is big. This is big respect for Kansas State and for Chris Kleiman. I think this year, if they put together another run to the Big 12 title game, that Chris Kleiman then vaults this program into a completely different level here recently.
Yeah, I could not agree with you more. Here's the thing. I believe that right now, the fact that they're in second place probably, and this is not like having looked at ballots, it probably is more a reflection on last season, on just a cursory look at the depth chart, than it is the evaluation of where this program really is and really where it could be in a year. I look at it as like this. What they've done, period, since he got here, outside of, the COVID year for everyone else, has been, I would say, I want to say spectacular. That might be too strong. It's outstanding. It's been outstanding work. But when you start to stack these years up, especially in the 22, 23 seasons, yeah, if Kansas State just gets back to the Big 12 championship game, this time next year, they will be number one in the poll, and they will be the team to beat in the Big 12 until proven otherwise. And for the life of me, as much respect as I have for the program and certainly for Bill Snyder, that has never, ever, 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 ever happened. They were never, ever the team to beat in the Big 12, ever. I mean, they beat Nebraska, they beat Oklahoma, but this was never a program that was looked at, you are the team to beat year in, year out. So that's an evolution of the program, boosted a bit by expansion, but certainly Kleiman and his guys have their fingerprints all over this. So that's an amazing growth for the program and certainly something that's very, very, very possible. It's not probable what things will look like in 12 months.
For KU, last year was just if you thought the best year for KU, that wasn't even it last year. Game day showing up to Lawrence, like what that occurred yesterday was pipe dream stuff last year for KU. So what is the encore here? Is it you need to get back to a bowl game? Is it you finally win, have a winning season? They're the what I think they've gone 19 years without a winning season. No, not 19. That's wrong. 14 years without a winning season or something of that nature. What does this program have to do this year?
Yeah, let's just get back to a bowl game. And that's not to sell it short. This is a heck of a league, guys. I mean, this is not an easy league. I know there's no Alabama or Georgia in this league, but this is a deep league. I mean, I'm looking at the media poll right now. Cincinnati is 13th in the Big 12. I don't think that's accurate, but it's a reflection of how deep this league is. Cincinnati is 2 years removed from being in a playoff, and they're 13th out of 14 in the Big 12. There's crazy depth here. He's got to go 3-0 and maybe 2-1 in non-conference play. That Illinois game is enormous. But they just got to get back to a bowl game. And that's where I stand. I know maybe fans have a different point of view, or maybe people have a little bit more hype around the program. I think we need to be realistic. Back-to-back bowl games, and maybe a 7-6 season, if that's not asking too much, is an enormous, enormous growth signal for KU. Because you can do it once. I mean, even Scott Frost made one bowl game, right? So, you can do it once. But to do it twice in back-to-back years in this league, I think that says a lot about the direction of things under Leipold. So 6-6 regular season to me is the way to go. If you do that, I'm very, very satisfied.
You brought up Cincinnati. Of the four newbies, Cincinnati, BYU, Houston, UCF. How do you put those in terms of who is going to surprise the most, or who's going to be the most competitive? How do you put those four?
Yeah, that's great. I can put them in the group here. I will say the team that's going to surprise a lot of folks in Big 12 country is UCF. They can run. They're not the biggest team. I don't know if, for example, given what Texas has recruited up front, I don't think they're going to match up well with Texas. If Texas is playing on their game, but they can fly. They've got guys on that team who can run, as you might expect being in Florida. So they're going to be the team that surprises. They may not go 9-3, but they'll surprise some teams. Similarly, I think BYU is, as some Big 12 teams and fan bases know, extremely physical. They have a style and an identity. And you can't say that about all 14 teams in this league, but BYU knows who it is. Cincinnati, to me, is a team that is probably going to be a little bit underachieving based off recent history, a coaching change, player losses. I still think they're undervalued at 13. Houston is, maybe I'll eat these words later on. I don't really like Houston this year. I think Houston plays a similar style to a lot of Big 12 teams. They recruit similar players, simply not as good players. No, that's overly simplistic, but I think Houston's the team that will have the hardest time adjusting to this league because, like I said, if they are a very similar Big 12 team, they're like a Big 12 light team, while the other three might be a little bit different compared to what the rest of the league sees.
All righty, last two for the road here for you, Paul. All right, if we talked about this with the four new coming teams, and if you're an incoming, team coming to KU, K-State, what would you tell the outsiders to do? Where would you go if you could pick a new Big 12 team to go to a road trip and watch? Where are you going?
Oh, awesome. That's a great question. Look, I'm not going to Houston. This is no disrespect to Houston as a city, but I'm not going to Houston in September or October or even November. I don't want to be there. It's disgusting there. I covered a game there when they played UTSA in August, and I lost 14 pounds. So I'm not doing that. What I'm doing is BYU, if it's September, October, or it's UCF in November to get the warmth. I hope that some of your guys who are listening right now get a chance to go to a BYU game because it is truly top three backdrop in college football. I've covered two games there and very, very, very memorable with those mountains in the back. So BYU it is.
All right.
Diet Coke on the plane.
If you if you have a sleeper team that, you know what, they're picked a little bit too low in the poll. It could be Oklahoma picked third. You think they're going to win it? It could be, Cincinnati, and you think they're going to finish, eighth and they're 13th. Who's the team that's going to outperform the expectations?
Okay, I'm going to say BYU. I think BYU is a veteran. I think BYU is well coached. Like I said, they know who they are. They're not a team that is like reinventing the wheel every single season for better or worse. To me, they're probably not a top half team. Like, I don't think they finished sixth or higher in the Big 12, but I could see them like tied in that range. And I think that if at the end of the season, I feel like BYU will be the best of the four newcomers. So that's a team that I think that Big 12 teams will appreciate, admire, respect, and also probably hate to play to a degree because of the style of play that they have.
Paul, we appreciate the time. Media days are always fun. We get to even see that somebody picked Vanderbilt to win the SEC this year. That's always hilarious that you got those some fun people. I think 5 people picked Vanderbilt to win the SEC this year. That's hysterical.
I don't know what's going on there. I picked Vanderbilt one time. Last time I was at SEC, I picked Vanderbilt because I think these media polls are ridiculous. No one has any idea what they're talking about. 8 people, I'm looking up. 8 people did. Congratulations, you 8 absolute sickos for spitting on the eye of authority. I love it.
Paul, thank you so much. We'll talk to you in a couple weeks.
Sounds good, guys. Talk later.
Paul Myerberg. I could talk to Paul. We could have a full 3-hour show of just Paul Myerberg, and I would be totally content with that.
Yeah.
Coming up, Chiefs headline number 1 here on Mic'd Up. It is the final hour of Mic'd Up on this Friday. That is right. Inching closer towards the weekend. Jake Levon along with Fulton Caster with you. Thank you so much for tagging along with us for this afternoon. We'll get to more Chiefs discussion from today, what Mark Donovan had to say. Got into a few different topics, including training camp, the World Cup, Germany, where the Chiefs are going to play, what's the latest news. We'll get to that. No Chris Jones contract on report day. Lots to talk about. We've got on second thought. We'll get to that as well here on this edition of Mic'd Up here in this final hour here. We do have Royals baseball. They are playing the Yankees. All right. We'll talk till we'll do 2.5 minutes. That's it on the Royals. Okay. All right. They take on the Yankees for 3 games.
Mm-hmm.
Who's pitching matchups? What do we got?
Alec Marsh tonight, Brady Singer tomorrow, Jordan Lyles on Sunday.
Okay.
Facing Clark Schmidt for the Yankees tonight, Garrett Cole tomorrow, Luis Severino on Sunday.
Interesting. How does Alec Marsh do?
It's not going to go well. And I love Alec, and I love his ceiling. I think he really can be a piece here. The problem is Alec has a problem limiting home runs. Yankee Stadium is a bad place to have home run problems.
Yeah, I can see that. Okay.
I think Alec will pile up his strikeouts tonight. I think we'll see another at least 5 strikeouts from him, if not a little bit more. Because I like the 11 strikeouts he had his last start were not a mirage. That's what he does. But don't be shocked to the Yankees to like at minimum 3 home runs tonight.
Okay.
And it's just that stadium kind of with what Marsh's stuff is. It's a bad combo.
The most interesting matchup is Singer versus Cole. Here you go, Brady Singer.
I mean, Brady Singer last year at Yankee Stadium looked amazing. Big moments he's risen up. So no, I'm very intrigued how that goes. Especially with Garrett Cole's pitching, that'll be fascinating. And then Sunday will be bleh, because Jordan Lyles also probably have problems at Yankee Stadium given the way he pitches, and Luis Severino for the Yankees is There's nothing real sexy about that matchup.
Yeah.
So I think it's a 6:10 first pitch tonight.
Yep.
Then
6:05.
6:05. And then noon-ish first pitches the next 2 days.
Yep. 12:05, then 12:35.
So
that's
some afternoon baseball the next couple days.
Usual
Yankees stuff. Do the young guys pitch well? So Friday and Saturday, the young guys pitch well, and then do any of the young hitters do anything? They're probably going to drop at least 2 of 3. Yankees are scuffling because without Aaron Judge, they literally can't do anything, but the Royals are usually your get-right team.
Get-right team.
It is really stark, though, how bad the Yankees are without Aaron Judge. Like, you take away Aaron Judge, they suck.
They're in last place.
Yeah, they'd be in first place in the AL Central.
They're 9.5 games back.
Yep.
Baltimore is now leading.
They are. The Orioles are on a heater.
Baltimore.
They're so good.
That's incredible.
They're so good and so fun.
Baltimore.
Gunnar Henderson got a triple the other day because Randy Rosarina didn't throw a ball in hard enough. Gunnar Henderson hit a ball to left, was, digging like crazy. Randy Rosarina take it and just kind of lollipop to throw to the cutoff man. Cutoff man did the same thing. You turn around, Tyler Glasnow's having to cover third because Gunnar Henderson's sliding in.
Some Lorenzo
He should have
Cain
had
vibes.
a double.
That's Lorenzo
But because
Cain
Randy
vibes.
Rosarina was being a really lackadaisical, Gunnar took third. It was awesome.
All righty.
Orioles rule.
That has been our Royals talk today.
That's about as exciting the series is going to be. It is going to be a probably very annoying, very disheartening series.
Okay, ready? Over under run differential of -8 in 3 games.
Under.
So they keep them close. Then.
It's going to be weird because if I remember correctly, Aaron Judge isn't playing.
Okay.
So the Yankees offense stinks.
We'll see.
Maybe that changes because they're facing Royals pitching, but that's just how it's been this year. Without Aaron Judge, the Yankees can't hit.
Okay. So if I put it at -3.
Oh, it's going over. They're going to lose by more than 3 total combined runs this series.
Okay. But lower than 8.
They'll probably go 2. I could see 3 2-run losses. I could see a 1-run loss in there. I would just if they win a game.
Okay.
They might steal one of these because Clark Schmidt's been nice, but not great. Garrett Cole is probably really hard. But Luis Severino's not been good.
Mhm.
They could win. If Jordan Lyles doesn't give up 9 runs on Sunday, they could beat Luis Severino.
Jordan Lyles pitched pretty well.
The problem is Jordan Lyles might give up 9 runs on Sunday.
He also could go 6 innings.
He
no
could.
runs.
He's apparently been good lately. Contenders, I'm telling you, you want to strike while the iron is hot. The price gets higher.
It really
Just
does.
strike while the iron is hot. Come on now.
It really doesn't.
I have one Jordan Lyles lightly used.
It doesn't get any better. No.
No, it doesn't.
It's like 10 baseballs or 30 baseballs. It's still the same.
I'll take 30.
Yeah. All right, Fulton. Headline number 1. We have gone through our Chiefs headlines from 5 to 1. All righty. We will run them down real quick. My number 5, rookie production for the 2023 season. Is it similar to 22 and 21? Can they find dudes? How does this rookie class work? Rashee Rice, FAU, Coburn, Shamari Connor. What are these guys gonna produce here? Your number 5 is the defensive line rotation, particularly at edge. My number 4, the sophomore slump or the sophomore surge. What does Karlaftis, McDuffie, Pacheco, Watson, Sky Moore do? That is 5 guys right there. If they all improve, this Chief team, and I could even include their Cook, Brian Cook, which, by the way, Mike Edwards said that Brian Cook is the one telling people the plays and what's going on.
Good.
And everything. That's a big jump there.
Good for him.
For BC, Brian Cook. I don't think that's what they call him, but whatever. Your number 4, are the young corners going to take the next step? Because if they do, then, it turns into a no-fly zone, right? That's right, between those 3 rookie corners. My number 3, the safety spot. Young, new, with Cook, Reed, Edwards. There's just really 3 of them, but then what does Shamari Connor do? Reed was pretty upset that his Madden rating wasn't very good. Said that he figured it out.
Hey, let that fuel you, baby.
Yeah,
let that fuel you, baby.
He said that once he got adjusted to Spags' system, he was the best safety in the league. Highest rated one since week 11, according to Justin Reed. I don't know what metric he's using, but okay. No Juan Thornhill. Cook only played 30% of the snaps. How does that work? Your number 3 is the linebacker rotation. What does Drew Tranquil bring to the table? We know he's the best chess player.
Yeah.
Found that out. But with Bolton, Tranquil, Gay, Chanel, what do they do with him? Is he going to be just a third down guy? Does he take Bolton's reps? Does he take Gay's reps? What does he do? My number 2 is the defensive line. And the reason why is very, very simple. In order to be good on defense, you have to have a good pass rush. Amenahu has replaced Frank Clark. FAU, Felix Anudike-Uzama, has replaced Carlos Dunlap. Dana is still Dana. Karlaftis is still Karlaftis. and then you've got Chris Jones.
Chris Jones.
So what does this look like? How do that is Chris Jones going to get 15.5 sacks? That's a lot. If he doesn't, where do you get that from? The pressure that the D-line brings if the D-line is good, this will be a top 10 defense. It will be, because I think the corners are good enough. The linebackers are good enough. This is going to be, I think this will be, just kind of thinking right now, the best defense that Mahomes has had.
Agreed.
So, but it comes down to the D-line. Your number 2 is your left tackle, Donovan Smith. Is he any good? Or is he a turnstile? Or is he going to get injured? Was his foot a big problem last year? What is DS going to be? What is Donovan Smith going to do? Because you brought him in, and now you can put Taylor on the right side. I mean, just think about how salty that right side can be. Creed, Trey Smith, and Juwan Taylor.
Oh, boy.
Woofed up.
Yeah, no,
Woofed
and it's the big thing with Juwan Taylor's just what is he going to be? Because the other part is, got a lot of penalties last year.
No, you mean Donovan Smith.
Donovan Smith. What did I say?
Juwan Taylor.
Oh, wow. My brain really conflated some things there. Yeah, Donovan Smith. Got a lot of penalties last year. Those can put you behind the 8 ball. That can ruin a lot of plays. Can he even fix that as well? So I'm very, very intrigued.
All righty, my number 1 headline, the number 1 headline for me. And I'm going to make it more specific.
Okay.
Okay.
Get specific. Get that specific ocean.
Do we see a top 3 consistent wide receiver grouping? Or is this going to be 6 guys and we are rolling with who's got the matchups? There is really no dominant wide receiver. Does someone take the reins? Because the 6 wide receivers are going to be Kadarius Toney, MVS, Sky Moore, Richie James, Justin Watson, and Rashee Rice. That's 6 dudes. Do we have a hierarchy? Can someone turn into the top 3? Is there separation? Do you have a Juju was clear number 1? MVS was clear number 2. And then everyone else was kind of mixed here or there. It was Juju, MVS, 1 and 2 for the Kansas City Chiefs, right? After that, Hardman, Toney, Watson, that was the role. So who ends up being the best, second best? Do we feel that, you know what, it really doesn't matter? They don't have a 1 or a 2. It's who is going to end up having the best matchup. That is what we're going to end up occurring. It's the wide receivers in general, but I'm going to be more specific is do we have someone that separates? I mean, it was Juju last year, 933 yards. He had 101 targets. MVS after that had 687 yards. It was Juju, it was MVS, and then after MVS, the next highest wide receiver was Justin Watson at 315. So you're telling me is Toney and Sky Moore going to go from, behind McCole Hardman, behind Noah Gray, behind Justin Watson to Juju and MVS? The wide receiver position in general, but who becomes the guy that Mahomes trusts? And I really don't know yet. Do you want to have like Toney to be the absolute man, no questions asked? Or you know what we do? We've got 4 other guys who can be that. Or MVS. Is MVS going to be the guy who ends up with 900? Is MVS at 900 yards or 800 yards what you want? I don't know. So the wide receiver position, I think they are going to be good enough. I think those 6 guys are good enough. And if, we've talked about this a lot, how for the Chiefs, it's not wide receivers, it's pass catchers. Pass catchers. Because the 4th leading receiver for the Kansas City Chiefs had 512 yards and 9 touchdowns. It was Jerick McKinnon. He's a pass catcher. Okay. Travis Kelce is a pass catcher, right?
Yeah.
Mahomes threw for 5,000 yards last year. Does it? I think they're fine. Like, I really do. I think the wide receiver group is going to be fine. I think the pass catching group is going to be fine. Mahomes is going to throw for 5,000 yards because that's what Mahomes does with a good O-line and Andy Reid. Just who ends up being it is interesting to me.
No, the wide receiver room is kind of the biggest question, not really for good or for bad going into into this season, based on kind of where they've put their cards and where they've kind of placed everything and what they want to plan to do or how they want to try and present this and how they're going to try and construct the way the room looks and who plays where and who gets what snaps and who does what, who fits what role and who gets what type of plays and all that. Yeah, the wide receiver room is there. And that's why, for me, for my number one Chiefs training camp headline going into this year, very similar to you and just who emerges up top. I think you need multiple guys to do something, but there is a gigantic gaping hole at the top of that room that someone needs to fill. There is a power vacuum that someone will have a chance to fill. We all assume it's going to be Kadarius Toney. And I see many good reasons for that bet. Based on his talent, based on what we've seen, based on what he can do to this offense and everything. That makes a lot of sense. But anyone else can grab that role. I don't think it'd be MVS, but maybe MVS shows something different than he hasn't shown before, and MVS becomes a true wide receiver one. Who's to say Sky Moore does not have a crazy, insane season, becomes the de facto number one wide receiver? I am so fascinated by just who takes that spot because it's open for the taking. And they're going to have all camp and all preseason and going into the early weeks for someone to step up, because someone does. Someone has to become that second go-to target to Travis Kelce, because Travis Kelce is target number one in this offense. Like, that's never going to change. But someone has to step up and do what Juju did and turn themselves into, I am your reliable old option number two. And I am going to be fascinated to see who that is, because I do not think you can put guaranteed money on any wide receiver on this team, either the ones that you mentioned or anyone else in camp, to become that guy. Because I think they all have different reasons for yes and for no's.
I think if MVS is your best wide receiver numbers wise, that's probably not ideal.
Maybe?
But I can see MVS having a career year. I can see him having 800 yards.
Mm-hmm.
I can see Kadarius Toney having 800 yards. I can see Richie James having, 400 yards. I can see Sky Moore having 600 yards.
Mm.
Of course, you got to factor in Travis Kelce's 1,100.
Yeah, Travis is 11 to 12.
Okay, and then that doesn't include Noah Gray, probably good for 300 yards. And right there, you're at 4,000 yards passing.
Yeah.
Right there with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, with 6 guys. And that didn't include Watson. That didn't include McKinnon. That didn't include Pacheco. Because if you include, that's just wide receivers and kind of the leaders. That didn't include Rashee Rice. But with Sky Moore, he didn't produce a whole lot of yards last year. So let's add in 400 yards from McKinnon and 400 yards from Pacheco. Okay. So let's say they get 800, because if you combine those guys last year, they were around 700. And then you actually throw in Clyde Edwards-Helaire. That's what, 280 plus, that's about 800 yards. So 480, that's 4,800 right there. Like, so 800 from Tony, 800 from MVS, 400 from Richie James, 600 from Sky Moore. I mean, having MVS lead you with 800 is not terrible. I think the guy who you can pencil in 700 yards and a couple touchdowns is MVS.
Yeah.
I think MVS, that's what
he's the
does.
one I think you can pencil in the most confident stat line because we know what MVS is. He's a deep threat who's not that great in the shallow and intermediate. Like, we know what he is. Like, that's just a fact.
When he plays the majority of the season, he'll be in year number 6. I mean, his rookie year, he had 581 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Second year, 450 yards, 2 touchdowns. The next year, 690 yards, 6 touchdowns. Then he missed 6 games, had 430 yards, but he was on pace. I mean, he basically is going to get you around 600 yards and 3 touchdowns. I think this year could be a big one for MVS. I do. Another year with the Chiefs. I think MVS is going to have a good year. I think MVS and I think Richie James are going to have better years than what people expect of them. Kadarius Toney just comes down to his health.
Yeah.
Tell me how many games he's going to play.
14.
If he plays in 14, he'll probably have. So he's going to miss 3 games. Let's say. I mean, if he has 600 yards, can he get you 40 yards a game? Because if he plays in 14 games, can he average 42 yards a game?
There's a chance. But as we discussed, it's not as easy as people think to average 40 yards a game.
So last year, Kadarius Toney, I mean, he was hurt a lot last year. He played in 7 games, started 3 of them for the Chiefs, had 171 yards. All right. His efforts in the playoffs, he played 3 games, had 7 receptions for 50 yards. That's in 3 games. So he obviously did not get the 42 yards per game. Last year, he had 42 yards in 2 games, more than 42 yards in 2 games. Against Jacksonville, 4 for 57, missed 3 games, and then he had 4 for 71 against Denver. So when he was healthy, he produced in 2 of those games. I think the Chiefs must know something we don't about Toney.
Yeah.
I think they're a lot higher on Toney than I am.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I just think of these 6 wide receivers, if they all average 500 yards and Kelsey gives you 1,100, and then you throw in Pacheco and you throw in Clyde Edwards or not McKinnon and Clyde, because I still think Clyde's going to be on this team. This is where you guys, you and I differ. That's why I think they're going to be fine.
Oh, they're going to be fine.
I think they're going to be fine.
They're going to be fine no matter what. Do they have 15 throwing the football?
Yes.
They're going to be fine.
Yeah.
That's how you answer, are they going to be fine? Question is 15 throwing the football? Yes. If the answer to that is yes, then they're going to be fine.
If he puts up another 5,000 yard passing year, throws for 40 touchdowns. Because he threw for how many?
Let's figure that out. Let's play that game. How many touchdown passes did Patrick Mahomes throw for?
He threw 41 last year?
Well, I think
he threw over 40.
41 exactly.
Yes, 41. Okay. Threw for 41. If he goes for 5K and 40 touchdowns with this group,
Mhm.
this is his best year offensively as a quarterback.
Give him his MVP again.
If he throws for 40 tutties and 5K, this just puts it to bed. You don't need to have multiple studs to throw to do so. What you need is you got to have one. You got to have one. What did Rodgers do the last year he had Adams?
Oh, so that would have been
21.
21, yeah.
Rodgers in 21.
4,100 yards, 37 touchdowns.
Yeah. You got to have one. You got to have a stud. They got their stud. This is why if you are like the Bills, you got your one guy. You got your stud. You got your Stephon Diggs. Do secondary guys after that. And that's what makes the Cincinnati Bengals and the Joe Burrow question so interesting. We're going to keep them all. That's not smart.
It's not a great way to do business.
It's not smart.
Not a great way to do business.
So if he does this year, if he throws for 40K with 40K, that would be a lot. If he threw for 5K and 40 touchdowns, he'll finish either MVP or second in the MVP. Because then they don't want to give it to him 3 of 4 years, or no, not 3 of 4 years.
Voter fatigue is the stupidest thing ever.
Yeah, 3 of 5 years. Yep.
Just going to use this moment to also get back on the pedestal. Voter fatigue for major awards is the stupidest thing ever. Grow up. If you give it to a guy 5 straight years because he deserves it 5 straight years, give it to the guy 5 straight years.
It would have been interesting to see what they would have done with Rodgers last year because he won a back-to-back MVPs. The 2020 year Rodgers was stupid good.
Yeah, 48 touchdowns to 5 picks.
Yeah, that was stupid.
Yeah.
And
70% completion percentage.
And then in 21, he was,
still really good.
Yeah, he won the MVP, 37 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. He was excellent.
So good.
What would they have done this last year? That would
Had
have
he
been
been, really in that, it would have been interesting.
Yep. Coming up next, we got an edition of On Second Thought. On second thought. All right, Fulton. My on second thought is not going to be about the Royals. It's not, because I thought the Royals would win too. Don't really give a damn about the Royals right now. You thought that was going to be, didn't you? No.
I just thought it would have been fitting. You did say very confidently they were going to win 3 in a row, and then they very much did not.
No, they might lose 3 in a row.
Potentially.
That's okay. That's not it. Not really too upset about that.
Keep losing games.
No. My on second thought, the Open Championship. He's gonna make the cut on the number, it looks like, because so many people are at +3. Tied for 39th is at +2. Tied for 60th is +3. Okay. That's how many people are at +3. Scotty Scheffler. I thought he was going to crush it. I mean, he's been so good so long. That would have been my pick. Top 10 Scotty Scheffler. That's what he does. Now, he might, because here's the thing right now about the Open is you got Brian Harman, who's at 10 under, who's incredible what he's done. -4, -6. Then you got Tommy Fleetwood, who'd be up to no good, is at -5. Top 5 is -3. He's only 6 shots back of a top 5. And top 10, he's only 4 shots back. So outside of really Brian Harman, if you take him out of the equation, and I don't know if he's going to be any good or not, who knows? But they're still doable because the weather's going to change it. But man, I thought Scotty Scheffler was going to be a good pick to finish like top 5, top 10. And right now he's barely making the cut at +3.
The Open's been brutal. Just brutal for some guys.
Like the guys who I'm like fascinated with right now are Kazuki Yasamura and Bryson DeChambeau. You are +3 going into hole 18.
Good luck, boys.
That
hole has been brutal this week.
Yeah. So what
Just
are they?
been very mean.
What are they going to do there? Anybody at +4 going into the last hole? Nope. Bill Kim at +5 going into 18. Going to need to eagle that. So yeah, everybody at +4 already in. Sammy Valimaki. That's Scotland's flag.
What's it look like?
Yes, I think that's Scotland's. No,
that's Finland.
That's Finland.
That's Finland.
You're right. That's Finland.
Finland, Norway, Sweden. Exact same flag design, different colors.
So
good way to remember all those 3. Exact same design, different colors.
That's Finland. You're right. That's Finland. Yep.
White and blue.
He's at +3 with 3 holes to go. So yeah, that's my on second thought. Scotty Scheffler, man, what are you doing?
That's fair. Poor Scotty.
No, not really.
He's got a lot of other good things going on for him. He's fine.
I think
one bad tournament, he's good.
I think he's made like 18 million this
year. He's had such a good year. He's fine. Scotty's made so much money.
Shout out real quick.
Yeah.
Gary Woodland making the cut.
Is G-Dub going to make the cut?
Yep. He's at +2.
All right.
Fired an even par today. How about the 6'8"?
How's our giant doing?
Amateur from South Africa, Christo Lamprecht. He shot an incredible score yesterday. He was 8 over today. He fired a 79.
Oh, poor guy.
But made the cut on the number +3. Now,
poor guy.
That could change.
Yep.
Depending upon, but there's not enough golfers out there. I don't think so. There we go.
Man, Buddy really did shoot a 66 yesterday and shot a 79 today.
Yep.
It's also 6'8". 6'8" golfer. Just
Tough.
good Lord.
Tough.
I have a very, very minor on second thought for me this week. When we talked on Monday, I was firmly in the camp of this holdup's all probably on the Chiefs, not Chris Jones. I think we need to shift the blame I think it needs to become more even. I think if there's some holdups, some other issues, I think the even this out of it. I was very much in just Chiefs problem, Chris is fine camp. If I need to I think about it now, I think we need to shift it a little bit. More 50-50 needs to be the split. Very, very minor thing for me this week, but shift the blame a little more 50-50.
Okay. I'm going to have that. Chris Jones maybe being a little bit ridiculous with his demands.
I'm now seeing where the AAVs for a lot of players are. I'm a little bit less staunch in the stick guns to your guns at 28. Of just, well, I mean, you're at that point TJ Watt money too. You could take 26 and still be fine. So seeing some other things, depending on what their number is, there could be some room there.
TJ Watt player of the year or defensive player of the year. Chris Jones defensive player of the year.
Last year I thought he should have been.
Both on Parsons are really good though.
They were.
But he's never gotten it.
No.
Chris Jones, one time, first team All Pro.
Well, that's because voters are stupid.
Well.
That's because voters are stupid.
So when
He's still in second team All Pro.
when Phillip Rivers comes up for Hall of Fame candidacy and he's never been first or second team All Pro, are you going to be like, oh, voters are stupid, he should be in?
No, because I'm, as of this moment in time, on the Phillip Rivers is not a Hall of Famer team. He's Hall of incredibly good. But you got to win something at some point. I'm not big on the rings should be the be-all and end-all of discourse. You got to win something, though. And Phillip Rivers just, I feel like a lot of his numbers are partly because he was, Hall of very good, but also just played for forever. And when you play for a really long time, your numbers can get really inflated.
He's the Don Sutton of quarterbacks.
Yeah, honestly. So, as of this moment in time, I'm on team don't put Phillip Rivers in the Hall of Fame.
No, he should. Here's how I do it on the Hall of Fame. Were you top 3 ever over a consistent period of time, top 3 at your position?
Phillip Rivers was never a top 3 quarterback in the NFL. He might have been top 5 at some points.
Ever.
He was never top 3.
Yeah.
There was never a moment I'm like, man, if I need somebody to carry me to a title, give me Phillip Rivers. I would have gone, hey, I'm missing a few pieces. I'm missing a quarterback to go with these other pieces. Give me Phillip Rivers. Phillip Rivers and Matt Stafford are in a weirdly similar tier.
Yes.
As of now, I don't know if I would give Matt Stafford a Hall of Fame nod, but he's got a ring, so I can, different conversation.
Mm-hmm.
But also, don't know if Matt Stafford's ever been a top 3 quarterback.
Yeah. Eli, what's Eli going to be?
Eli's the weirdest conversation because
Yeah.
he's got 2 rings, which is a very exclusive club.
2 Super Bowl MVPs.
Yeah, he's in a very exclusive club. But outside of that,
He had a 500 record as a quarterback.
so I literally don't know where I stand on that on Eli. I can't make a decision because I get both arguments. I get he's a part of the exclusive 2 Super Bowl MVP club, so you put those guys in. But I also get he didn't win a lot of regular season games club. I don't know.
Coming up next, we'll get to some final thoughts from Mark Donovan today when he spoke to the media. Forward to the weekend. Before we get to the weekend, want to get to an audio cut from Mark Donovan about the stadium upgrade situation. Mark Donovan, take it away.
Yeah, so I'll try to cover a lot there because I know it's an important subject. To answer your question, the partnership with the Royals has been great, and it's really, really critical to both of us that we have a good partnership as we go through the decision-making process. We've been consistent in every time we've spoken that it is a process, and it's a really important process, and we're still in the process, but we're making progress. I want to be consistent and reiterate something that Clark said last time he spoke on this. You know, if everything plays out the way we think it's going to play out, our preference for us is to upgrade and renovate the stadium at Arrowhead and make GHA Field even better. We've gone through the progress and made some progress there. There are still 3 viable options on the table, and we've got to do the due diligence on renovate, upgrade, build new on site, or build new somewhere else. So all 3 of those options are still part of our dialogue. We've learned a lot in this process. The good news is we think the building itself is actually structurally pretty sound, which gives us the opportunity. Having said that, we've learned that it's going to take a significant annual investment to keep that building structurally sound. And the other thing we've learned on the good and the bad is just like any project, right? There are certain days when you get that phone call, it's like, hey, we just found this. Might be an issue, right? And when you're talking about a core sample of cement that was poured in 1970, those issues they could be significant and they could factor into the decision. So headed towards doing what we want to do, making good progress towards that. Still a lot of work to do and still a lot of due diligence to do. As it relates to the Royals and their decision, obviously that factors in as well, right? So if and when they go, then that creates opportunity for us. Well, what does that mean, right? And it gets really complicated. You got a sports complex now that has one tenant. How do you deal with that? You got a sports authority. I will say this, in addition to our communication with the Royals, which is pretty consistent, we're obviously talking to the mayor, to the governor, to the county, to the sports authority, and they're all in the loop on what we're doing and how we're doing it, and very supportive.
The Royals did move to Clay County. How does that change things for you guys? Did it be on your own to extend the tax? Thought about that part of it?
Yeah, I mean, we've thought about all of it. So I say that jokingly, but the reality is you got to be prepared to be flexible and be able to pivot. That's a big one, right? Because all of a sudden that brings in, as you brought up, what happens to extending the tax? Because now it's 2 different counties, and what happens to the sports complex? So all those things play into it, and then the timing plays into it as well. We still are on plan to be ready for an April vote, if that makes sense for us. If the Royals decide to stay in Jackson County, then we've had discussions about how we do that together. And if they go, then that is a variable. We got to be ready to either continue on that path or pivot. Our team has done a really good job of just being ready. And I feel like we're pretty well prepared for whatever happens.
What do you think? It's such a great politician's answer. Well, we want to stay at Arrowhead, but Arrowhead costs a lot of money to upkeep. We could build here. We could build somewhere else. All of them are viable options. Like, he appeases the fans who love Arrowhead, but also tells the fans who love Arrowhead, hey,
It's going to cost some money.
Hey, it's going to cost money. And, you don't just pour something into, if it costs $1 million a year to keep Arrowhead up to date, maybe you do it. Maybe you do it. If it costs, a couple million to make sure it's all right, and then 1 year it's going to cost you like $5, then you start going, is it really worth it? I don't know. I don't know what it costs to keep Arrowhead, satisfactory. And he's like, well, we could build, where the K is when they leave, brand new stadium. That'd be kind of fun. And then he appeases us here in Kansas. Well, we could move it a completely new site.
Smart man.
Very politician's answer. Everything is there. He goes, it's a process, but we're making progress.
Making progress on that process.
We're making a progress process.
Sure, buddy.
Because everybody knows when you got a process, you got to get some progress to therefore prove that your process
is progressing.
Yes.
I got you.
Yeah. And the probability of them
progressing on the process, well,
is probable.
That might be the dumbest bit we've done on the show in a year.
Or the best. The best.
That might be the stupidest bit.
That's basically what he's saying right there.
Yeah, it really is.
It really is.
No, it is.
It is.
That's what he's doing.
Yeah. 80,000 people have already purchased a ticket. Does it cost? Does it cost $5 to go?
I couldn't tell you. I've never looked into what it costs to go to training camp.
Because I know some days it does cost.
Yeah. I've never had a real interest in going to training camps. I've never looked into the costs.
Well, let's say it costs $5. Because
Yeah.
I think most of the time it's free.
Sure.
Maybe not. That's 400,000 right there.
It's a nice little way to turn some profit.
So they can do 7,000 fans
a day. Hey, practice.
How long is training camp? It goes
like 3 weeks, 4 weeks.
It goes from the 20,
because first full practice is Sunday.
Yeah,
23rd.
27.
Probably the 23rd to the 20th. I think.
Yeah, they could make almost 600,000 if they do that.
Nice way to add a little chunk of change.
Yeah, I wonder how much it costs for them to put on camp.
Can't be that much.
I don't know. They got a lot of stuff.
They do, but like I said, can't be that much in the overall scheme of things.
I don't know. Coming up next, we'll finish things off with the mic drop. What do you got for our mic drop?
Jake, I'm not going to talk about the Kansas City Royals and their pitiful series against the New York Yankees they're doing this weekend that probably won't go well. That is not what I will be focusing all of my attention on tonight, though. I will probably have a screen on that because I'm a sicko and I'm depraved. No, I will not be finding a way to watch Leo Messi make his debut for Inter Miami. No, my friends.
Is that tonight?
Yes, I believe so. Maybe.
I don't have Apple TV.
I think so. No, my friends, I'll be watching the most important sporting event coming on tonight at 8 p.m. in Australia. The U.S. women's national team's first match is tonight at 8 o'clock against Vietnam.
Is that Central Time?
Yes, 8 o'clock Central Time. It is whatever Australia time.
I now know what I'm doing at 8 o'clock then.
Yep. U.S. women's national team kicks off against Vietnam. I'll be watching our wonderful women absolutely destroy Vietnam to the tune of like 10-0. It's going to be awesome.
Nice. Well, you took up like the whole entire time. Now, what am I supposed to do? Ready? Here we go. Dolly Parton is coming to Kansas to celebrate her library imagination program. It's awesome. She gives away free books to kids. Almost 2 million books. It's
Dolly
awesome.
rules.
She kicks butt. We'll talk to you on Monday. 580 Sports Talk is coming up next. Go Team USA. I like that, Fulton. That's good stuff.